see that it works. I do understand this. But then I'm thinking in relationship to the rest of us in our culture. And
the rest of who?
That would not include
the rest of who?
Not these people in this room. But
yes,
the rest of our culture that is so process-oriented, so goal-oriented, the kind of...
You are talking only about a specific few cultures on your planet. That's not true of every culture on your planet.
I understand that.
All right. Well, now we've decided and discovered that your statement is not really, in that sense, that focused.
Okay. Well,
there are many people on your planet who are not oriented that way.
Well, let's talk about the United States, maybe Western Europe included.
Yes.
You know, that kind
All
of
right.
mentality.
We'll go ahead and talk about them.
It's like we live in the midst of human resources directors who are always asking you, well, what makes you qualified for this? What is your goal? Where have you been? Where are you going? I mean, it is a process that forces you to...
It does nothing of the sort.
Okay.
Nothing forces you to do anything you don't choose to be forced to do. You do the forcing if you go along with that particular ideology.
Well, that's where I'm trying to go with this.
Yes. Well, but you're making the choice. They're not forcing you. You're making the choice to buy into that particular modality.
Yes, but by not buying into that modality, it seems to me that
then
it would
you
be
buy
rather...
into another one.
It would be... Yes, I understand that from my point of view.
But you like saying yes, but.
That means
yes.
that I have to consider...
That you would like to consider, that you might prefer to consider, not have to. There's that force word again.
People thinking you're crazy.
So what?
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Will you answer a question for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
If I can.
You can. I'll just again use the terminology in the most typical way. Has any great change on your planet ever been created by anyone who wasn't crazy? Who didn't go against the grain of the norm? The answer is no.
Very good point. Yeah, good point.
Thank you. So why not join the club and be crazy? It's a nice club to be in. Then you will simply gravitate to and attract to you people of the same kind of crazy. And then when you are in a community of people who are all the same kind of crazy, you won't be crazy. You'll be normal in that community.
Well, this doesn't necessarily include our families, unfortunately.
No, it may not, but that is not necessarily unfortunate.
Oh. Well, I'm a mother, so it's it's not that easy.
Yes. Well,
okay.
Children are notoriously crazy. Why not join them? Why not really be their mother in that sense? Let me put it to you this way. If you're not really being yourself, then you're not being their mother, the mother they chose to be born to. So why not really be their mother by being yourself instead of being who you think everyone thinks you should be, which is not being yourself, which means then you're not actually being the mother they chose to be born to.
That's great.
Does that help?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Connected to this, sort of, I mean, tangentially in a way.
All right.
I am concerned about
more concern. Yes.
About the issues.
Yes.
I am interested in the issues raised by the recent news that our present president is going to have to raise over $1 billion to get reelected. Now, you know, I'm not saying that that I think he should be or should not be or whatever. It's just the point that thinking that anybody has to raise $1 billion in this country to get to be president raises the issue of how many ways is he going to have to subdivide his soul and sell it off to get that kind of money? And what are we going to do as a nation with a system like this that seems to be getting heavier? I know that you have said, and I, in some ways, I can begin to see the dissolution of all of this, but yet it seems to be getting heavier at the same time.
You are your government. Change it. It's your planet, your government. Change it. Change yourself.
Okay,
and shift to a reality through your actions that represent the change you've made within yourself. Shift to a reality that contains the idea that is more representative of what you prefer.
All right.
Instead of thinking there's only one reality, we're stuck with it, and that's all we've got.
Well, there are so many people who want to change, but there seems to be a confusion about what to do. When we look
Stop. May I assist you?
Can I just
May
mention
I
one thing?
assist you?
Yes. Okay.
Stop worrying about what everyone else is thinking and just change in the way you prefer to, and let the reality reflect to you what is representative of that change. Stop focusing on what you think everyone else needs to do. Just focus on yourself. Just change yourself in the way that you prefer to. Behave the way that you prefer to. Let everything take care of itself. Let everyone else make their own decisions about what realities they wish to change to. The ones that wish to think like you will join you. The ones that don't will be somewhere else, and you can't do anything about changing their minds anyway. Let them have their reality. It won't necessarily be yours. All
right. Well,
yes?
I'd like you to clarify, please. What is the problem or the tremendous difference that seems to separate us to a certain extent from the people, say, in France or in Germany or even in England, who hit the streets by the hundreds of thousands to demonstrate against their governments? The governments seem to pay attention. As Michael Moore said in his most recent film, I believe, recently, that in France, for example, the people are afraid of their government. In the United States, we're afraid of our government. Why is this? What is wrong with this picture?
Because you have created a belief system wherein you wanted to give your power to someone else to run your lives.
Why?
So that's what you've got. Because you're afraid of your own power. Because you have disconnected yourself from your own power to the point where you don't believe you have any.
But why should we be any more disconnected than the French, for example? I don't get it.
Because different cultures have different belief systems about how they experience their relationship to themselves and their connection to spirit. You're having a number of different experiments on your planet about different ways to experience your relationship to your belief systems and to your reality. So of course there will be different experiences in different cultures by definition. Decide in your own culture whether you wish your culture to continue to be experienced that way, or whether you wish to change yourself and be an example of the kind of change that can occur, so that other people can also see in you, by example, other options that they can then also choose. If you are already aware that there can be another option, then start behaving as if there is. Then you will be in a reality state, in a vibrational state, that can function as an example for others that there are other options. And if they gravitate to it, then bit by bit, more and more of you will take back your power, and you will institute the kind of changes that are representative of the reality and the nation and the culture you prefer. But you have given your power over to people and told them to run your lives. So why berate them when they're doing such a good job of doing what you told them to do? Tell them to do something different. Tell other people then to take their place who will do different things. Empower people. The way you have structured your culture is based on fear. So your government is based on the same. That shouldn't surprise you. So develop a culture of joy. Develop a culture of self-empowerment. And then you will find you will not really need anyone to tell you what to do.
Does this culture of fear come primarily from the fact that most of our ancestors who came here were dispossessed people feeling the brunt of famines and social injustice and so forth? So they had a lot of fear when they came here.
That has something to do with it in a sense, but that's not really the beginning of it. Understand that disempowerment has existed in your culture, in your planet for thousands upon thousands of years. This idea of self-disempowerment has been a theme of exploration for generations and eons. But you're arriving at the end of that exploration. That's why you're even considering that there can be something different. But the point is if you know there can be something different, then exercise the idea of your self-empowerment by being an example of the difference. Otherwise, you're just talking.
Do you see a significant shift happening in this country within the next few years?
If you make it. But again, please, you're missing the point. All those realities already exist. It's not a significant shift in your country. It's do we see a significant shift in certain individuals who will take themselves to another parallel Earth reality that is already different? That we do see. But we will be talking to that Earth. We won't be talking to the other one. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's not that we have to see a change in that Earth. It doesn't matter whether that Earth changes. It only matters whether individuals change themselves and shift to another Earth that is already representative of the change you're talking about. Already representative of that experience. Doesn't matter if a change occurs in any particular reality, because every reality is distinct for what definition it serves, what experience it has been designed to serve. So that reality will never change. Never. It's its own reality by definition. A reality doesn't change. Your experience of reality changes when you shift to another reality more representative of the experience that is your vibration. So it does no good to say, do we see a change in the reality? We see changes in your experience of reality if you choose to change. And if most of you didn't choose to change, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So this conversation is an indication that many of you say you prefer to change and that many of you do make those changes. Or again, this conversation wouldn't be happening. The conversation is proof itself that you're making these changes. So yes, but we want you to understand the mechanism, and that will suffice. Thank you.
Can I just ask?
That will suffice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Let
you,
it
Bashar.
sink in.
Good evening, Bashar.
And a you good day.
One quick follow-up on something somebody previously asked.
Yes.
Who exactly are or were the Anunnaki, since you say they're not around anymore, and what impact do they have on us, and why would we care?
They have no impact on you now that you don't want them to have. They were involved as an extraterrestrial species in the idea of the genetic alteration of the hominid, naturally occurring hominid species on your planet into the form you now recognize as human.
Okay, so there's no current impact on anything going on here.
The vibration is still within the collective society, and whatever impact exists is based on whatever connections individuals may consciously or unconsciously make to that particular vibration for their own themes of exploration. But the impact is chosen by the individuals who choose the themes of exploration. The impact doesn't occur without a choice. But they are part and parcel of the vibration of your genetic makeup in that sense.
But it's a residual vibration, not an extraterrestrial group that's doing
Every
something
vibration in that sense is real in the moment, and so in that sense you can make it as imminent as you wish it to be. It doesn't have to be experienced as residual, but we understand what you mean by the terminology. But no, they're not an active group in what you would recognize as your present time frame. They no longer exist in that form in your present time frame, in your present parallel reality.
Okay. Could you expound a bit on how to utilize the power of illusion?
Recognizing that things are an illusion. is utilizing the power of illusion, because it frees you from the idea that there is really an outer world that in any way, shape, or form dictates what it is you can choose to experience. So when you understand that that's just a projection of your consciousness, it's just an idea, it's just a symbol, it's just a permission slip, then you know by being an illusion that you can change the illusion. You can change its appearance by changing your frequency, in the same way you change the way your reflection in the mirror looks by changing the expression on your face. If you know the reflection in the mirror is just an illusion, it's not really you over there, it's just an illusion of you over there, then the way you can use it is by understanding that you can make it do things by doing things yourself and get the outer reflection. But you have to do the things yourself first in order for the reflection to follow suit.
Okay, and how would you contrast that with the illusion of power? Is that simply the illusion that
this
we
is
should
a
do
real
something?
reality, that there is only so much for everyone, that there is a lack of things, and so I must hoard it all to myself, that there are winners and losers, that there isn't enough? You understand? That is the illusion of power, that I must have power over something or I will somehow fail. Instead of understanding that everyone has the ability to tap into exactly the idea of their own power, and that everyone can be the full individual they need to be. And by being the full individual they need to be, there will not be anarchy, there will be harmony. Because everyone being the full piece means that they fit in the puzzle picture as the puzzle piece they were designed to be. And when all puzzle pieces are the way they designed to be, the shape they were designed to be, they all fit together to form the big picture. But the idea of the illusion of power is, no, I have to hoard all these pieces, I have to have this, I have to change my shape in order to make things happen, because they don't automatically happen, they don't work automatically. Does that make sense?
It does very much.
All right.
Finally, you started off this evening by talking about how we should disaggregate the concept of process from expectation and outcome.
Yes.
And I guess my question would be, what if after hearing that we say, you know, I really, on second thought, have no interest in process at all, so how can I simply make things happen immediately and
dying.
Ignore? How else?
I'm not being facetious. It is the most common way you end your experience of that process. You go to the spirit realm. But now that you are also learning that this is an illusion, many of you are beginning to come unstuck in space and time. You're finding that time and space are becoming slipperier. You are eliminating some aspects of the so-called process experience and jumping ahead. Full-blown creating things, in a sense, faster than you used to use that euphemism. You're allowing things to accelerate. You're allowing things to just appear. Oh, where did that come from? I don't know how that happened. It just did. You're allowing miracles to become more the natural order of the day, which they are.
So to use your initial example of the evening, can I simply say, I really have no interest in building a house, but I quite like the idea of there being a house that I have a key to in my pocket, and simply walk out from here and walk into a house somewhere?
Yes, you could. And what you have to then face is the idea that as the synchronicity in your life unfolds, it will then show you what you really believe. Accept it as a way of allowing yourself to change to the point where you don't necessarily need that process anymore, even if a process is what shows up first. If that is your true preferable energy, your true preferred state, what you have described, then if there is still any belief within you that would attract a process, it's going to attract an experience of process to actually give you the ability to not need the process anymore. So accept the process if it comes as part of the creation of the state you prefer, instead of an interruption in it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then be joyfully surprised when things do just appear, because that can begin to happen more and more. So all we are really saying, bottom line, is you can allow yourself to be in a state where, if you really don't need to experience the idea, if you really don't need to choose to experience the idea called process, then things will just appear without it. But if process appears, there's a reason you're creating it. Enjoy it, because it's there for a reason, your reason. Don't make a differentiation between those things. They are their own unique experiences, and don't continue to believe that you have to have one to lead to the other. Don't believe that you can do without one if it shows up, because it's going to teach you something that you need in order to achieve the other level of frequency.
What steps can we take to decreasingly need to have process appear before we get the outcome?
The examination of your belief systems and bringing them into conscious identification. Because it is only your belief systems that create the idea of the need to experience certain kinds of processes. So when you create the idea of what we have called threshold of believability experience, you can eliminate and narrow down and accelerate the idea of process experience. For example, if you have within you the idea of some particular reality that you prefer to experience, you can ask yourself the question, well, do I believe that in 10 years, absolutely no problem, I can truly know for a fact I will be experiencing that reality? Yes, you can say yes without any hesitation, not even a microsecond of hesitation. Yes, 10 years, more than enough time. 5 years, yes, more than enough time to experience that. 3 years, yes, more than enough time. 2 years, maybe. The moment you hesitate to say yes, that's how long it will take with your present belief system, and that will represent the amount of processing that you may still experience, which is all right, because process is its own experience. However, if you find out what the belief system is, and say, what would I have to believe is true in order to experience this in 3 years instead of immediately, you find out what that belief is, deal with it, integrate it, let it go, take the test again. Is 5 years more than enough time to experience this reality? Yes, absolutely, no problem. Easy to see, easy to feel it. I can see it, I can live it, I can taste it. 3 years, yes, now with my new belief system, no problem at all. 2 years, not a problem. Immediately, yes. 1 year, yes, not a problem. 6 months, Again, where you hesitate, examine what you would have to believe is true in order for it to take that much time. As soon as you take this over and over again and render it down as quickly as you can and eliminate all the beliefs you can find, whatever amount of time is left, that's the amount of time it needs to take. That's the amount of experience you need to have, you want to have, in order to actually accomplish certain kinds of relationships in your reality with respect to the idea of being your preferred self. Because many of you don't want to do that alone. You don't want to speed ahead of too many other people. You want to wait for certain people to get to a certain point so you can all climb the ladder together. So it may be a consensus idea that you don't necessarily vault ahead of everyone else. You may want things to take time. You may want to experience certain processes in order to grow as a person, so that by the time you do create the idea you represent as your ideal reality, you will have, through these ideas called processes, through these experiences, have actually gained an understanding and an appreciation for the experience you will create that is representative of your ideal reality. You have to trust the timing of this, but you can take that threshold of believability test to narrow down the timing if you wish.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. What is your time frame? Yes. Thus then, it is time for you to take a short break so that we can engage you in locking in what we have discussed through the holotope experience. Enjoy a short break.
So, I thought this was pretty exciting tonight, wasn't it? Amazing. So anyway, now comes one of the highlights of the evening, and that is the holotope presentation, which I'm going to let Kirby spend a few moments explaining the holotope and how it came into being so you can get a fuller appreciation of why this is such a powerful way of anchoring and integrating information within your consciousness. So, Kirby Seed.
Over here. Hello. Woo. Just want to thank April, Bashar, Daryl, and for letting us put this in and incorporating this in the whole process here. It's just this is what we made this for people, a lot of people to experience this in this way. The principals who invented this are Randall Fonts from the Exploratorium in San Francisco. For those of you who don't know, it's a science and art institute in San Francisco. And my friend Darren Gibbs, who's an artist and software writer for Apple Computer. And myself. And the three of us are meditators of different disciplines. And we found that we have such intense, beautiful experiences in our meditations that we wanted to find a way to share that with people. How do you get people into these kinds of experiences? How do you leave those breadcrumbs that lead back to those spaces? Particularly in these times when we accidentally fall into those kinds of spaces through crises, can we consciously go into these beautiful places and spaces that transcend our normal reality without having to go through a crisis? So this is our answer to that. And it's a meditation device. The mandala represents an 8-dimensional object. There are 8 dimensions that are colored in different layers and levels of color. And I was thinking about the topic of this evening, mirrors, the Hall of Mirrors, and there's several ways in which this is a mirror, many ways in this is a mirror. But the mandala shape itself is called a Gosset polytope. E8. In mathematics, it's used to describe the placement of subatomic particles in an atom. It's our closest description visually of and mathematically of the atomic structure that we know of. So this is a reflection. When we raise our higher frequency, we will be able to see ourselves on a cellular and then an atomic level. This is what it would look like on a pure energy level. And Randall painstakingly layered the different levels of dimensions with color. So when we shine different colored lights, it'll reveal the different dimensional aspects. And then we'll be strobing the lights in such a way that'll sync your brain to different brainwave patterns. So your mind will begin to assemble the 8 dimensions and it'll create an 8-dimensional field. Yesterday, Bashar was working on the mentioning fractal patterns, the antennas raising from the fractal patterns. Well, the backdrop to this is a fractal pattern. And the fractal math basically represents very simple relationships that can be infinitely expressed. So the mandala represents supersymmetry, the prime particle of our existence, the atom. And the fractal patterns represents a different type of math that describes unlimited, within the limited, unlimited expression. So you've got this sort of masculine, feminine, feeding in and out, breathing in and out of that kind of thing. So the other thing is we're going to be projecting lights onto this form. And the other way it's a mirror is that when we project lights, what's going to happen is you're going to sense motion. You're going to see circles and dimensional fields open up and close. But in reality, what we're doing, all we're doing is strobing light onto color. And your mind will be creating a story in between those moments of motion. So we experience change as motion, but there is no motion, it's just change. So this is another mirror to understand or to reflect that kind of thing that your own brains, your own minds are doing. So that's just another way of appreciating this. So I recommend that you stare in the center because the center is the focal point. The whole center of meditation is to come into the center of your own being. Each one of these fractal patterns has a center which represents this center. So it's all one center, represented in multi-dimensions. Okay, so let's go do it.